time to be alone. Kids distracted, wifey on the phone. Slip out the back door with my car keys. If I don't leave now, someone will try and find me. It's different this time right now, solo. I have the perfect plan, nowhere to go. Cruising down the highway, not doing more than 70.
Welcome to another episode of the If You Cook, I'll Clean podcast. Today, I want to give a shout out to the brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We had Founders Day yesterday. It was good seeing a lot of the brothers at UNC Charlotte's homecoming, and hopefully the brothers was able to recoup and recover today. So today I'm excited to have a very special guest on with us today. He's originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, specifically North Carolina's west side. His name is Kdub. Kdub's love for radio began in high school through internships and vocational training. He's worked in the military, small stations, and as an MC for events, eventually joining Radio 1 Charlotte as the assistant production director. Eventually, he relocated to Atlanta in 2005, forming KEW Production Studio, providing voice and audio production globally. He's co-hosted KISS 104.1's Saturday Night Throwback Party, and he's launched his own show called Intimate Connections, blending R&B throwbacks as well as smooth jazz. He's a former public address announcer for the WNBA's Atlanta Dream, and he's recently retired from the federal government. Kdub now focuses on passion projects while honoring his radio mentors with every mic he turns on. Guys, welcome today a very special guest. I am elated to have him on our show. Mr. Kdub, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good, Eli, man. I really appreciate the intro and thank you for having me on this Monday.
Absolutely, man. I know that you run a very tight schedule, and I just want you to know that we appreciate you just joining us today and taking
Glad to be here, man. Glad
time,
to be here.
absolutely, of your busy schedule to join us. So we're just going to have a discussion today, K-Dub, and I think the first thing that I want to know specifically is, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Eli. I mean, today was a good day. It's been a good week. Happy Founders Day to you and your brothers. But
Absolutely.
it's been a productive week so
Oh,
far.
good.
Today is Monday, so I'm doing good.
We don't ask that enough of each other, and I think that's important.
I think it's
So,
healthy.
absolutely. So you read the book. Um, let the audience know what you thought of the book.
I thought the book was an excellent short read. I thought the candor and the resources used in the book were pretty authentic to me. I have a brother that was in the barbering business, and I think that conversations in the barber shop, they're unilateral. So your barber shop in Charlotte. To here in Atlanta and in Washington, D.C. or wherever, Chicago, New York, whatever. Same conversations going in the barbershop. So I found the book to be, pretty poignant and successful and very well written, I might add. So I think you did a really good job in getting to the point and asking some very significant questions.
That's great, brother. I appreciate your honesty and your feedback. So the first question that the audience would like to know is, how long have you been married?
Uh, 32 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, 32 years.
Amazing. Now, before we get into these questions, because I believe
Right.
you shared that with me before, but that's a
Hmm.
long time, brother.
Right.
I personally want to know before I start asking these
Hmm.
questions that the audience sent us was or is how do you keep the romance alive? I mean, after 32 years.
I mean, you still the same people. I mean, your interests change and you evolve as people, but I mean, I still like her, and I think she still likes me, and that's not that anybody is perfect. Now, I'm definitely far from perfect, but I think that in order to have anything greater than just liking somebody, loving somebody and having a relationship with somebody, you first gotta like them. If you don't like them, then you don't have anything to build on. Um, so that's number one, and number two, you gotta appreciate, and vice versa. You have to appreciate each other and the people that you've evolved in 32 years, because we're not the same people that we were 32 years ago, um, and it's a lot of compromise. So not that every day has been a good day, but the good has definitely outweighed the bad, and I think that um, I I didn't set out to do 32 years or to do 3 years. Just took one day at a time. Tried to make the best every day.
Right, right. That's good. So one thing that comes to mind when you were, explaining how you guys have evolved.
Hmm.
Oftentimes you hear in marriage, especially marriages that don't necessarily survive, is that, we grew apart. So can you expand on the evolution of marriage, specifically, how you guys as a couple have evolved?
Well, I think that first of all, in the beginning, I guess as in any new relationship, you learn new things about people as you grow with them, and I think that the challenges of the finding things out about your significant other, regardless marriage or whatever, to find out scary things about them and things you didn't know and you find out after the fact, or they harbor any behaviors that you weren't made aware of during the dating and the engagement and the marriage process. I haven't experienced that. What I will say is that me and dealing with myself, I've had to learn to be more patient and probably might even need to grow some more in that area. I mean, just being honest. But I think to identify with what's important to the other person and them to do likewise, make things a lot easier. Setting boundaries early, um, good and bad, because if you do that, then you kind of know what lines to stay within, and if you exceed those boundaries, I mean, then there are consequences to them.
Absolutely, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Um, what's one of the biggest challenges you guys faced as a couple, and how did you get through those hurdles?
I think that some of the challenges that we like early on. My wife was already set in her career as mine was evolving, and I think that as a person who aspired to, to work in radio and to be a voice person, a lot of times, some of the career fields that we select and we have a passion for, they don't always pay the bills. So you have to do other things to compensate, to have a means to an end. And I think that I think in a positive way, as things begin to progress, and I would take steps toward what I would eventually want to do. She grew when I grew. The experience and the background I had as a sales rep definitely helped me in pursuing radio. And because her background was in radio sales, a lot of what we did, they overlapped. So as she was at the forefront of seeing me grow as a person that just, wanted to have, a career and working in radio, to owning my own studio, picking my own clients, and really doing things the way I want to do them. If I don't want to do them, I don't have to. I'm under no pressure, and that support helped me out. But in the beginning, you still have to sell a little sizzle with with the state. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to invest in, and I believe in me, and I'm gonna need you to do likewise. And I think everything moved in the direction it was supposed to.
That's good, man. I know, oftentimes that can be challenging, and we all face it in marriage and relationships, especially if, one of the parties, they may, have a different career path, in the sense that, when I was starting, my career, it was more like a hobby in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting paid for your hobby.
Right.
So, sometimes you do have to, do different things and kind of make modifications to, make up the difference financially. And that can be very challenging at times. So, while we're on that topic, what's something you appreciate about your wife that you may not necessarily say often enough?
I appreciate her organization skills. I mean, always being on point with administrative things. As a couple, keeping a schedule on various things, and I think that in some cases, a lot of men might take that for granted, but it's very important to me to have somebody that's got structure, because I get consumed with what I'm doing, and sometimes it's important to have a tap on the shoulder and say, "Hey, listen, you have this, and this schedule." So organization skills is very, very appreciated.
And what do you think she would? I know she's not with us today,
Right.
on this show, but what do you think she would say about you?
Um, that I'm definitely punctual, probably to a fault. I hate being late for anything, and I think that she would definitely, echo that sentiment.
Sounds good. Sounds good. If you was a part of this organization, I would have more verbiage for you that we could exchange about that, as far as being punctual. But what's something about your partner that still surprises or amazes you after all this time?
Her sense of humor, at times, um, the smallest, the smallest things, um, that make you laugh. I mean, you can go to dinner and to a comedy club and have a good time, but sometimes you just simple conversations riding in a car, um, you know, make me laugh. So I would definitely say her sense of humor.
Okay, we on a roll now, right now. She's gonna love these questions when she see this show, and
Yeah, I'm
I'm sure
sure.
that's gonna keep your romance alive even more. But what advice would you give to couples who are just starting out?
I mean, be honest. I mean, be honest with yourself. Be honest with the other person, and you know, definitely don't take no wooden nickels. Don't don't do something and be in a relationship because of superficial reasons based on what the person may look like. Uh, because we've all been young and we've all thought that way. Um, Definitely look at, a person's character if you're going to be spending time with them. And definitely try to have a short memory. I mean, because if you, as a young person, you get involved in a situation that's not conducive to, your personal happiness, always keep it moving.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. So, how do you think you've changed since getting married? And
Uh,
has your perspective on relationships changed?
yeah, definitely my perspective on things have changed. I mean, I got 32 years in the books, the research, um, to be able to look back and see, whereas 32 years ago, I might have thought and did things a lot different than I do now. Uh, some practical and some, not so practical. Um, I think that, anything that stays the same, that's living, that stays the same for 32 years, um, it's crazy. So you have to grow and you have to change. And I think I have, uh, definitely, um, I would say for the better. And if, if she was here, I would think she would agree. Um, but uh, still not perfect by no stretch of the imagination. I don't think any of us are.
Okay, sounds good to me. So, another question I have for you, and I'm gonna put these questions down in a minute, and we're just gonna have a regular conversation.
Let's
But
do it.
these are questions that were given to me by, the audience, and these are, things that they would want to know.
Mhm.
So, how do you handle balancing your role? And I think you touched on this a little bit as a husband with your personal goals and interests.
I mean, when you say balance, I mean, my personal goals and my aspirations are hers too. I mean, I think that to be able to be successful at something and to be married, you have to have the person who you're spending your time with. I mean, if you're married to them, they got to buy into your dreams too, and your dreams have to become theirs. You have to be able to, as a young voiceover artist. I mean, I told my wife that one day I'm going to be doing national tours for national recording artists. If if I don't believe it, how can I expect somebody to buy into my dream? So they have to buy into what, and likewise, some of the things that she wanted to accomplish in business and in life, I had to be a partner. I had to be supportive of it. So um, it's a major. I think it's a major accomplishment when you have a good support group. I mean, I think I think it's amazing.
That's good, man. I mean, just a lot of marriages these days, folks just aren't on the same page when it comes to, a lot of their aspirations and goals. They're just not. A lot of folks that I've seen, especially lately, folks are only about themselves, and they only, if it's not serving their best interests, they're not interested in it. And I
Right.
and I think that's important for the audience to hear because you guys have been married for 32 years. Like, it's important to be, as one or on the same page, if you will. So I can appreciate, you sharing that. So another question before we just get into a regular conversation is
Okay.
how do you handle disagreements or misunderstandings? And do you
I
have
mean,
any specific rules or approaches for resolving conflicts?
I think in resolving conflict, a lot of times it depends on the source of the conflict. What is the conflict? Um, you know, it, if it's something simple, then conflict is easily resolved. If it's something personal and somebody's feelings is hurt, not so easy to resolve. And you know, I don't have a blueprint. I I mean, if I do something wrong and I acknowledge, uh, my fault in anything, I'll apologize and I expect the same in return. I think that um, but that doesn't always make it easy because I think to suggest that in 32 years uh, there has not been any conflict and any conflict resolution. Uh, I mean, I'm gonna sell you some beans for a beanstalk too. It's just not practical. I think whatever in most cases, you have to be first of all rational, and you have to listen to the other person, which uh, sometimes that's difficult to do, especially when you think you're right. And just in most cases, in a lot of cases, in most cases, a lot of women that can't accept when they're not right and when they are wrong. And when you tell them, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Sometimes it's no sweat off of my back if I did something wrong. I mean,
Right.
I'm a man. I'm gonna get called out anyway. But just I think that a lot of times with conflict
Don't mess
resolution,
this up, Kdub. I'm sorry, I could say KD, Kdub. You on a roll now, and your wife gonna see this show just to let you know.
I mean, listen, she knows me. I
Okay.
mean, so to see the show and say, uh, he's different. I am not. I'm being honest.
Right.
Um, and really, if it's not the truth, if somebody can sit up and tell you that they love everything about you, and in 32 years everything you've ever done, they love everything about you, and they're not being totally honest. They are not.
Right.
So to sit up and talk about real life situations and somebody to ask me real life questions, I'm gonna give you real life answers.
Now, with that being said, but
Hmm.
because I know in relationships some folks have pet peeves and all that stuff,
Right.
but is there something in particular that you don't mind sharing with the audience that your wife may not particularly care about some of the things that you may do? For instance, I snore, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I snored until a few years ago, but I snore, and I know that's something that can, be an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if somebody's trying to, get some sleep throughout the night. That's so.
I would definitely say, definitely one of her pet peeves is like I'm always punctual. If you give me a time and say, hey, listen, this is what time we leave it, I'm saying that's what time we leave it. And I think sometimes that, because I'm always, for whatever reason, it could be the military or
Yeah,
whatever.
That's what I was gonna say. That has to
I
be
like being on time, though.
military.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like being on time, uh, but everybody's definition of being timely is different,
Hmm.
and
And that's her
probably
pet peeve. Typically, women would appreciate that quality. Generally, I mean, is it
well,
to the
well,
extreme, or do you like to be early, or do you like to be on time? Because there's
I
a
don't.
difference between the two.
Well, you say to what were the choices again? To be on time or what,
Early.
or to be early? I don't like being late.
Okay.
So
So are you
I
getting
mean,
to an event at an hour ahead of time?
nah,
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
nothing, nothing, nothing like that. I don't want to. I don't want to be late.
Okay.
I don't want to go to a jazz concert and I like all three of the acts and I
Oh,
see
okay.
two of them.
Right.
I want to see everybody. And I think that you know, uh, like I said, it's give and take and it's compromise. sometimes you're just gonna be late for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you're just gonna be late. And the times that I've been late for things and it was my fault, trust me, I beat myself up about it. But and you know, that's just one of the things. I mean, you know, I would say that's pretty significant in terms of something that you know, it is what it is.
Now, if you don't mind sharing it or something that you don't mind sharing that kind of may be a pet peeve of yours as it relates to your wife. I'll give you
I
as
mean,
much time to as you
like
can to think about
what
it.
what you ask me is it something that she does?
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, she she kind of
take your time because she gonna
well,
watch the
oh,
show.
well, no, I'm good. I'm good. I feel safe. I
You
feel
want
like
me
I'm
to
in a
come
safe
back to
place.
that? We
No,
can go to
no,
something
no.
else and come back.
I think that a lot of times that like when she's out, you know what I mean. Um, and I guess it might be hypervigilance for me.
Okay.
You know, I always got my head on a swivel, and it nags me like if you know we're both from Charlotte. If I ask her, you know, while she's driving, where are you on Interstate 85, an emergency or anything, and she'll say I don't know. Um, I think technology is good, but I don't 100% trust it. I like having my bearings uh, when I'm traveling places, even though I might have you know some technology to let me know if there's some traffic ahead. You know that's a pet peeve. But you know when you're traveling, typically even when I'm traveling, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. But I always know where I'm at though, and I think that a lot of times just for the sake of being safe, you ought to know where you at.
Right.
You know, you know, especially when you've been traveling up and down the same road for 20 years.
And I can understand that. I mean, you definitely, especially for emergencies, you want to know, where the
Absolutely.
spouse is at all times, especially when they're driving. So I get that. So if memory serves me correctly, and I don't want to assume, but you do have kids, right?
I do.
Okay. So and your kids are adults.
They are empty nested.
Oh, great, great. So in this kind of new world society, I don't know if I'm framing it right. How do you offer advice to your kids? Because honestly, things are just a little bit different than they were when we were coming along. So, as it relates to relationships, how do you go about offering them advice?
I mean, in terms of you know relationships, I got three sons and one daughter.
Okay,
So you know, it's three conversations as opposed to the one conversation, being totally different. And I didn't create the double standard. It existed before me and it'll be here long after I'm gone. But I mean, they're all adults and self-sufficient and in terms. And my daughter's married with three children. Um, and they're doing good. I mean, so my sons, the three of them, one's married and two single. Um, the dynamic is totally different. Like when we were coming through and you were, dating somebody or you had a girlfriend. Um, Now it's just kicking it, and they just, you know, I mean, that's just my friend. That's old girl. So I really, really, really don't. I think the age difference is definitely when one of my sons is asking me anything about a female, then they knows it's over. Because typically they just do their thing. When I have candid conversations with them about um, relationships or what have you, is pretty general conversation, nothing too in depth.
Okay, so the conversation obviously with your daughter is a little bit different.
Oh, definitely. I mean, uh,
And she's married now, so
yeah.
obviously your advice, she took some of your advice, I would assume.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I most certainly she did. I mean, some of the things that I mean, especially with your daughter, you you definitely want her to be happy. You definitely want all the things that you had as your daughter was growing up. You want her to accomplish all of those things, and I mean, she's checked off all those boxes. I mean, and she's happy. And she's a physical fitness instructor and a dietary professional, and they seem to be happy. So uh, I feel like, um, I feel good about her and the choices that she's made. Definitely in terms of who I was and the type of parent I was. I mean, um, she only brought respectful people, around me. I never had to deal with any, really crazy situations. Um, as far as my daughter was concerned, ever.
That's good, man. That's good. So I know part of your residence was here in Charlotte, but
Mm-hmm.
did you raise your family in Charlotte, North Carolina, or was it was it in Georgia?
And now I raised my three older children were raised in Charlotte, and the youngest one, I think he was around 9 or 10 when we moved here, and he's 30 now, so he grew up here. So that was definitely a different dynamic too.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you that because I know depending on where you are uh, regionally, that in the environments change. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And it's just different. For instance, it's different raising a family in the South versus maybe on the West Coast. There are things that you have to adapt to. So
right? Yeah,
that's the only reason why I asked that question.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely challenging, and my wife worked at the Heritage Station here in Atlanta at B103, and then I segued into radio later here in Atlanta. But just the environment and the type of people you work with, and the people that you engage. Um, Me, as far as being a voiceover artist, I went from just doing the stuff at the radio station in Charlotte to everybody here, and it just opened everything up for both of us professionally and as a family. Yeah. So my younger son saw things that the older three didn't because of what he was exposed to and what we were actually doing at the time. So
Okay, good. I think this is a good time to have a quick break. I know we um, was having a conversation about that. So for um, the audience, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this content, and we'll post some other things accordingly. So brother K Dub, what are some of the projects that you have going on that you
well,
could
right
share
now
with
I'm
us?
doing some video projects for a mega church in New Jersey. I'm working on a concert tour, an R&B concert tour that I'm not at liberty to divulge right now because I think it's going to probably hit in a couple of weeks. And then just my regular customers that I've seen that I've been working with over the last couple of years. I do several um, funeral homes. I read for several funeral homes, and then the um, the commercial stuff that comes in, the national stuff, the CarMax, the Macy's, the everyday things that my daughter sends my way. So life is good, man. Staying busy.
Oh, good. So we gonna have some sponsors, Tito, really soon. It sounds like it. Yeah, that's good. What you
Yeah,
think about that, K Dub?
I think that the book is inspiring,
Uh-huh.
and that you should hear something. If you cooking out, I'll clean forthcoming. You should hear some audio forthcoming.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So let's get back into the show. We have a
Sure.
couple of more questions, and then we're gonna give you your time back, and we appreciate you, sharing your time with us today. But what's the most memorable experience that you can remember that you've had together so far with your wife?
Uh, I think that really something that happened recently within the last 18 months. We went to we were supposed to go on a vacation with some other people, end up going by ourselves. And the destination that we went to was smaller, but it was like right on the beach, and it wasn't as inhibited as some of the other places on this island. So we had actually had an opportunity, man, just to really sit back and reconnect and because it wasn't a lot going on. Went on tours and did stuff, and then because it wasn't a group of people, it was just us. Um, it was cool, man. I really enjoyed that, and it was pretty memorable. And it was right before I retired, so it kind of pushed me on into that. Made me realize at that point I need to be doing more of this. So I moved, aggressively into that area.
That's good. So when you say you needed to be doing more of this, what are you speaking of
Like
specifically?
vacation,
Okay.
relaxing, stress free. You know, like I said earlier, um, people will approach you with certain projects. I don't want to do. Definitely, I'm not going to be out here, trying to shake no trees. And what's meant for me is meant for me, and the work that I choose to, and I reserve the right to be selective. I only want to be involved with projects that make me feel good. I don't want to do anything adversarial or pressure. Let me get this, anything quantitative. Just not interested in doing that. What I'm doing, I enjoy doing, and I'll keep the same pace that I'm going at now. Anything faster than this, it's probably gonna get chopped because I'm enjoying having the opportunity to excel.
That's good, man, and that's noble as well because sometimes we get to that place, especially when we're chasing a dream. You know, when when money is involved, we start chasing that bag too.
Right.
And that's not always a good thing because you just don't want to compromise certain things when it comes to integrity. You know what I mean, for a dollar.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's
I agree.
noble. So one of the things that I failed to ask you was how did you and your wife first meet, and what
Wow.
and what was uh, you can't answer for her, but what was your first impression of your wife?
Well, like I said, when you're aspiring to work in radio until you get that first opportunity, there are certain things uh, that you got to do. You still got to pay your rent. You still got to pay your bills. You still want to have a social life. So I was working as a manager for a pest control company, and one of the one of her workers at a business that she just owned. She got a business um, as owner operator of a daycare service, um, and the daycare service needed some pest control. So the young lady was telling a guy that worked for me that her boss needed. So I went over there. One thing led to another, and we hit it off. Um, she Her day job was working in radio. I was trying to get into radio, so and it wasn't it was always because when I finally started working in radio, we worked for competing stations, but the familiarity of what it is that she did and what I was trying to do, they just overlapped and they coincided. So we had similar interests. And like I said earlier, I mean, you have to start out liking somebody, you know, and I think that helps.
Sounds good. I think we have time for maybe one more question or so. So,
Sure.
what's the best piece of a relationship advice that you've ever received, and how has it impacted your marriage?
Um, Being it for the right reasons. The best advice that I've ever been given in terms of relationship, that was, you know, I had an uncle who's no longer with me. Was my favorite uncle. He was pretty direct, and he said, "Listen, never be in a relationship for any other reason than you want to be in that relationship. If you do it for financial reasons, if you do it for kids, if you do it, you know, for material things, if you're doing it for any other reason, for wanting to be there, you're doing yourself a disservice, and the other person too." And I think as a young person, you know, that's hard to grasp, because I think as me as a young man, uh, you really don't know what being in a relationship is. You know, you like somebody and they like you back, and a lot of times you have to find out the hard way that you know, what you thought was a relationship was crazy, and you find out fast, quick, and in a hurry when you encounter the wrong person, when it don't turn out good.
And with that being said, how do you know it's the right person? Because I know folks, you know, who've been married 2 years and they decide to part. I know folks who've been married 10 years and they decide to part, even 15, 20 years. So how do you know that it's the right person?
I mean, I think it's got to be more than just longevity and the time and tenure you put in. Um, I think that when you willing to give more of yourself and you consider uh, the other person as you do yourself, um, I think that's more important than how long you. I mean, because I know people, you know, people that um, been married for a long time, and they act like they absolutely hate each other. What keeps them? What Because in a lot of cases, and I didn't write the book. I'm just saying, just people I know. Um, some of the things that I hear and I'm privy to, uh, I wouldn't stay in some certain situations, um, and it's I wouldn't be held gunpoint at gunpoint. If I'm in a situation and it's not working, then chances are I'm not in it. Uh, I mean, 32 years of marriage is uh, like I said, I take it one day at a time, and I take it one day at a time because things have worked. But to be in a situation where it's volatile and I don't have no peace, and you know, slamming doors, nah, I just rather get my mail in another zip code. I mean, I'm not doing that. I I think that your personal happiness, especially at my age, okay, um, it's too precious for it to be, you know, you get up in the morning and you roll over and you ask yourself, you know, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
What? Why?
Uh-huh.
No, no, no. So I'm saying at this point in my life, I'm content. If I wasn't, I definitely would never compromise my personal happiness or my future if I wasn't. Now, everybody's different. Some people have different levels of tolerance than other people. Um, I'm gonna be happy or I'm gonna be by myself. It ain't no in between. So uh, and that's not to say that everything has to be the way I want them to be, and I'm not open to compromise because I am. I mean, I think if anything, longevity proves is that you have to be, uh, open to compromise. But that can't be the only longevity. Can't be the only goal. What did I want to do 32 years ago that right now, I haven't accomplished this and still on my bucket list? I mean, I'm saying goals as a couple and my personal goals. Longevity, you don't give up just because you've been doing something and you've been doing it, with somebody for a long time. Because I mean, when you stop dreaming, you might as well be dead. And the one thing I'm not gonna dream about is happiness. I'm not gonna do that. Happiness is not gonna be a figment of my imagination. And I just think that, you know, um, the people that misconstrue how long they've been together with being happy, um, that's, I mean, shame on them. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be happy, and sometimes that means having, you know, conversations is not popular with everybody, but I'm gonna live out my latter days, peace, peaceful, and as happy as I can be every day.
That's good, man. Because honestly, I was having that conversation the other day. Like we control that, and we also create that, and that's something that I learned through therapy. Like you create your own happiness based off the some of the decisions that you make. And the conversation that I was having yesterday was anybody who comes through that door and they don't have any other experience other than peace, ultimately I'm doing something wrong. Because
Right,
if I want this environment or my home to be peaceful, I'm responsible for that based
right,
on every single decision that I make by the time that I wake up until the time that I go to bed. It's important, as you mentioned, if especially at our age, happiness can't be a figment of your imagination. I actually like that. You're gonna have to write that down for me so I can use that in the future. But it can't be. Like it has to be right now. So often or too often, I've waited for that next goal or that success to be happy. But the happiness truly could have been during the time that I was spending on obtaining those goals. Do
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, man. You can't always control circumstances and people that enter your life, whether it's relationships or anything else. But you always have control on how it affects you. And I think that if you want to be happy and you got somebody that is willing to work as hard as you, that wants to achieve the same level of happiness, then a lot of times in my own personal experiences and from the outside looking in at other people, um, Teddy Pendergrass, sung this song and he gave the equations for 100%. Either 80-20, 60-40, 50-50. I don't think that um, a lot of people understand what 50-50 actually means and are willing to, um, because there's a lot of cases now that, again, from the outside looking in, is that a lot of relationships are predicated on financial success, who makes the most money, who calls the shots, um, and I, that's just really confusing to me because regardless of who makes what, I'm head of household, all right, it, and that's what it is. I think that as you again evolve, and what somebody's earning is not so dictatorial, and who's going to decide on doing this and doing that. I think that's crazy anyway. I think that when you a man, be a man. I mean, I think that if you're gonna lead. You can't. I don't think you can be successful in a relationship when clearly the person is leading you is telling you what you're going to do, and there's no compromise. And when it's time for you to be, who you're supposed to be and be a man, you can't do it because you let somebody else usurp your authority as a man. No. The roles ain't gonna change. I think that we should all try to be our best versions of ourselves, but and I like having somebody that's professional and a go-getter, all of that. It's only one man in a relationship that I'm familiar with. I don't knock nobody else. And then, some stuff, if I ain't trying to figure out a whole bunch. I'm just saying for me and mine, I'm gonna wear the man hat, 100%. And I think that's appreciated. I think everybody hat is different. I think one of the questions was cooking and cleaning. I mean, I cook 80% of the food. And OCD means make sure that I'm gonna clean everything up behind me. So I think our balance is everything inside of that. I think every day when you got the the mindset that I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna have a positive day, I'm gonna have a productive day. It helps, And experience is a good teacher too. You learn over 32 years, do's and don'ts yourself. Things that you might have would have done that you shouldn't have done, and you shouldn't do again, or say, or shouldn't say again. I mean, and I think that goes both ways. So.
Absolutely, man. This was good. Well, guys, you heard it from the best, Kdub. You're going to be seeing more of him. We're going to incorporate him and some of the things that we're doing in the future, and you're going to hear more about If You Cook Out Clean. Kdub, share with us some of the things that, and I know you did previously, but share some of the things that you have coming up.
A lot of stuff coming up. As I was explaining to Eli before we went live, I'm actually working on a lot of commercial stuff for Easter. We do things in advance, and a lot of New Year's social events, anywhere from DC to Jacksonville and places in between. And I apologize. I usually don't read them and commit them to memory until I'm doing them. I'll be better prepared next time I get invited. But I'm doing an event for a mega church in New Jersey, an R&B tour that I'm not at liberty to discuss right yet, but definitely I'll let you know, and it'll be on all the social media platforms.
Oh, good, Tito. We gonna get some tickets to the Jodeci concert. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
hey, well,
you
listen
saying?
out. Be on the lookout. Be on the listen out, Tito.
So how can folks get in contact with you, Kdub?
You can go to my website, and that's www.Kew Production Studios with the S.com, or I can be reached directly at email at kdubthevoice@gmail.com.
Sounds good. Can you give us a quick synopsis of how you when you are doing voiceovers for folks really quick, so they can get so they can get some a little bit of what you offer?
Well, the first thing I would advise anybody when when you first start out is read lines and not paragraphs. Never try to sound different than how you sound, because everybody has a certain uniqueness to their voice. If somebody says that you sound exactly like someone else, and you're trying to sound like somebody else, just be true to who you are and how you sound. And I think everything will take care of itself. And you got to stay busy. You know, you got to plant seeds. You got to, you know, surround yourself with like-minded people. That in addition to them wanting to grow themselves, they want to see you grow. You want to build relationships with people that's on the upswing, and definitely don't be afraid to say, no, I don't want to do business with you. I'm not going to read that. Because, I mean, you know, it happens. You know, you'll get approached about some projects that just, you know, whether it's politics or I mean, you just got philosophical differences about, you know, goods or products that you don't want to endorse. You just want to stay clear of it. So, but just work hard and record your voice every day.
Sounds good, Kdub. We appreciate you coming on today. As I've mentioned, we know that you're a very busy man. You have a very tight schedule, and we don't take it for granted. And we really do appreciate you being on with us today. So, guys, hopefully you've gained more insight into, you know, how to successfully have a relationship or marriage. Kdub gave us a lot of different talking points as it relates to being successful in a marriage, and hopefully you can take some of those points with you and incorporate them into your own personal life or relationships. So, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this page. I'm sorry, this channel, and we look forward to seeing you for the next episode.
Maybe right downtown to see the bright lights, or take a walk in the neighborhood with the big houses on the south side, or do what they do in the movies, watch planes fly to the sky. Don't know what to do with myself, not used to this alone time. Every day rocking my nerves, so I better go. I need some peace, yeah. Need some peace on right now, solo. Prevent going crazy, time to myself, so I can be. Or do I lose my voice? Yeah.